So last month we had our first ever $1 million revenue month. In fact, we didn't just hit it, we blew past it. We did 1.37 million in just 3 days. It might sound crazy, and trust me, it is and it was, but in this video we're gonna break it all down. I'm gonna share with you how I made this happen, what it was that I did, who I made this offer to, and then I'm going to share with you the stuff that other people perhaps wouldn't share, like what was the profit that actually trickled down, and what are my biggest takeaways from this experience. But before we get into the video, if you're new here, my name's John, husband, father, and founder of AdClients.com. That is the home for 3 incredible masterminds: Momentum, Expansion, and Titan, our 6, 7, and 8-figure masterminds, where our clients have collectively generated 122 million, and I've been able to generate 35 million in my career without hustling 24/7, sacrificing my personal life, or having to stop doing things that I love. And now here on the channel, I help other people just like you do the same. So here's the deal. I said we generated 1.37 million in 3 days. Technically, we achieved that in 30 minutes. That was a presentation that I made to a room of people that some of them became clients. But you already know that that 30 minutes is not what made the sale. There was more that must have happened in and around that 30 minutes to make it possible. And that was, of course, a 3-day event. And then there was weeks of planning leading up to that event. The event in question was AdCon 2025. And I must say, it was an unbelievable event. Me and my team did work tirelessly for weeks to plan, create, and launch this event. And we had hundreds of people, almost 1,000 people, come and be a part of this conference, and we blew them away with the content, the sessions, the speakers, and it was a transformative experience for everybody. But then, of course, there was a 30-minute moment where I made an offer and we did 1.37 million. And in this video, I'm gonna do 3 things. Number 1, I'm gonna break down the numbers. Number 2, I'm gonna share a little bit about how I made this possible. And number 3, I'm gonna give you my 3 biggest takeaways from this whole experience. I was breaking down the numbers for this offer that I made with my Titan mastermind. These are 7 and 8-figure entrepreneurs. The average revenue in the room is $500,000 a month. So these are guys and gals that are doing this big in our industry, right? Big email lists, big audience. They're doing events, they're doing virtual events, they've got big sales teams. And I was breaking this down for them and they found it very interesting. And I figured perhaps you'd find it interesting too. And in fact, if you're at that level, and you want to be around the right type of group playing at that same level, just visit titanmastermind.com. There's more information there. So let's break down these numbers. First, and this is the stuff that people don't tell you, this was a very expensive event to run. So you may not be able to do it at this scale to start with. You're going to have to work your way up. But this actually cost, and I'm going to do this in Great British pounds, and then I'll convert it into US dollars for my US friends. So firstly, this cost 788,000 and some change, but I'm just gonna round it off. That's how much this event cost. So almost $1 million to put on. But then of course, we went into the event recouping some of that through ticket sales, and we had some upsells, and we had a networking lunch that people could add on to their ticket. So as we walked into the event, we did have some pre-sales. So pre-sales came to 456,000 and some change, which means that the difference here was 322,000, and again, in some change. I'm rounding up. So we went into the event and we were negative 322. So then what about the sale that I made at the event? Well, the sale generated 1,012,000 and some change. I'm tempted to put the change, but it'll just get too messy up here, which means our profit, after we subtract how much it cost to run the event, was 680,000 and some change. Now for my US friends, that is 920,000 and some change. All right, so what was a 1.37 million offer? It's only fair that we talk about expenses, and so the profit was 920,000. Still not too bad. So here's what I'd like to do now. I want to share with you a little bit about what made this possible, and I'm going to ask you to drop me a comment with the word details if you would like a longer, more detailed version of the video that I'm about to make. If this stuff's interesting, let me know in the comments and I'll produce a much longer, far more detailed, maybe I'll even put a slide presentation together to actually walk you through exactly what happened at this event and how we generated this amount of revenue. But to start with, it's really important that we say for us to do this 3-day event over here, this has actually been years of work, right? Because everything I've been doing to get to this point is to provide goodwill in the marketplace, to put out great content like you're seeing right now, to build an audience of people that like the stuff that I'm doing, to generate sales within my business that allow me to fund more ads which find more people and grow my email list. And all of that has created the opportunity for me to run an event like this. Because we ended up selling just shy of 800 tickets and not everyone showed up. That's how events work. And when I made the offer in the room, I will have had probably about 600 people in the room, maybe 550 people in the room. It's not easy to just have a conference center full of hundreds and hundreds of people. So it's important to understand we got to this point after years of groundwork in our industry, right? Now, you can also reverse engineer my numbers and think, well, the size of business that I'm at, maybe I could do 1/100th of that, 1/10th of what John did with a slightly smaller room if you've got a great business with great offers. Now, we've got 3 days with a session that happened that was 30 minutes. And it was this 30-minute slither here that of course generated 1.37 million in sales. But again, as we spoke about, it's not that happened. It's actually what happened around that. So that offer came towards the end of day 2. That's where I positioned that offer. But we also had day 3 that sat after day 2. And of course, we had day 1. So what I want you to understand is that everything that I did over the course of this 3 days worked together to make this offer as effective as it was. And the first thing that I must stress that I believe contributed to this perhaps more than anything else, more than the presentation that I delivered, the slides that I had, the bonuses that I included, more than any of that stuff, it was the experience that I created over these 3 days and that I put experience as first prize over revenue. I've said this to so many of my friends in the industry, and I've said this to my Titan Mastermind countless times, that if you put more time, energy, and attention into making sure your events, be it in person, be it virtual, be it webinars, whatever the case may be, put more time, energy, and attention into the experience you create, spare no expense, and you'll find that that will come back to you tenfold, and it'll make whatever you're selling easier to sell. There's a model in my industry where if you're running events, the game plan is to lower expenses as much as possible and then squeeze as much revenue out of the room as you possibly can. And when you do that, you create these crappy events with no energy, no atmosphere, and everyone is sat there like this wondering what else they're going to be sold on, and no one really wants to buy anything. And if you can persuade some people to buy, you're getting people to buy that didn't really want to be in your program. It just doesn't feel good. Whereas if you design your events and your experiences to be enjoyable, transformational, it makes someone feel good. From the moment they walked into this event, they were just overwhelmed by feeling like they've just found their family, they found their community. We've got swag bags, there's branding everywhere, and we spare no expense on the production value of the event. It creates this environment where people arrive on day 1 feeling a certain way, and they're about to leave day 3 feeling like a brand new person. And what ends up happening is everything you created over the course of these 3 days, they don't want to leave it. There's this feeling of, I have had such a transformation over these 3 days that I firstly don't want to go back to the life that I had before. I don't want to fall back into my old habits. I don't want to make the decisions like I used to make before. And I certainly don't want to get back on the hamster wheel that I was stuck in before I came here. So I don't want to fall back into that. Secondly, I don't want to lose momentum. I want to continue this momentum, and the obvious way of doing that is by joining the program that the creators of this whole event have put together. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, something else that I wanted to share, and you could do this on your virtual events, but of course this is an in-person one here. We had a theme that was running all the way through the event, and it was leading our attendees through a process. We weren't just shooting content at them like a fire hose. We are strategically teaching them certain things at the beginning of day 1 and certain things at the beginning of the afternoon of day 2 and so on and so forth. We're creating this transformation for them and with them because I've done this so many times before. I know what gets people results. And so if I can lead them through this theme and this process, we get to the moment where the offer happens here on day 2. And I've already taught them enough that the experience was incredible, but I've also taught them enough that at this point, they're thinking, I want to work with these guys, me and my team. I want to work with these guys more, right? And then we make a bunch of sales there. But what ends up happening is then as we continue the journey, we find more people that by the time they get to the end of the event, they're looking back at that offer and thinking, I didn't quite take it, but now the rest of the event has happened. I'm about to leave. This feels like a very real moment. I'm looking back at this offer thinking, gosh, I should probably take this. And so then more sales are coming back and contributing to the 1.37. So what I'm going to do next is share with you my 3 biggest takeaways from this experience. But first, if you're interested in this type of stuff, if you geek out on this, like when we talk about big numbers and funnels and conversions and presentations and you just love it and you want to learn the latest, greatest strategies that are happening right now, I would love to invite you to check out one of our 3 masterminds. My company has something that suits everyone's needs. If you're starting out towards a 6-figure coach, it's momentum. If you're a 6-figure coach wanting to get to 7 figures, it's expansion. And if you're a 7-figure coach wanting to get to 8 figures or already there and wanting to pursue 9 figures, it's Titan. There's something for everyone, no matter what level you're at. And so there'll be a link somewhere around this video in the description box. Click that. You can book a friendly call with my team, have a chat, and see if one of our groups would be a good fit for where you're at and what you need. So biggest takeaway number 1. High conversions are still possible in the right scenario. We're finding in our industry right now, and again, we talk about this in our mastermind groups, it's getting a little bit harder to sell online right now. You may have experienced this. Social media is getting busier and noisier, and it's harder to get the attention of the people that you want. There's so much competition, there's so much noise, there's AI people now, so you're not just competing with humans now, you're competing with AI. It just feels so competitive, and the online stuff is suffering. If you're doing VSLs or sales funnels on the internet, you're just finding conversions are dropping, and people are talking about the fact that people just don't buy high ticket stuff anymore. The reality is they are. You've just got to change the model in which you're using. So high conversions are still possible. That leads me to big takeaway number 2. How do we get these high conversions? Well, biggest takeaway number 2, we now need high touch, right? Like what could have been a 10-minute video that leads to a sales call can now be maybe a 3-day experience. Now, you don't necessarily need to do a 3-day in-person event. You don't even necessarily need to do a 3-day virtual event. It might just be that if you're used to doing no value within a sales funnel, then you start adding a bit of value. It might be that now if you're used to a 10 or 15-minute VSL, maybe now you start moving to a 60, 90-minute webinar. If you're used to a 60 to 90-minute webinar, maybe think about moving to a multi-hour masterclass. The more time we're spending with people, the more high-touch experience we can give them, we're finding that's what unlocks the high conversion rates. That was big takeaway number 2. Because for us to do that from the audience we had proves point 1 and point 2. And big takeaway number 3, in an AI world that we live in right now, and it's not going away, in-person stuff seems to be even more valuable. The virtual stuff that we're doing can suffer in areas because AI is replicating many things that we're doing, and it's increasing the competition as we just spoke about. And as people are getting worried and panicking about AI, there's this desire to come together. And so if you in your business right now, there's any opportunity to do some kind of in-person thing, even if that's getting 5 people together in a room and teaching them, and then 2 or 3 of them become clients, this kind of high touch coupled with in-person seems to be working really, really well right now. So hopefully you found this video exciting and insightful. If you'd like me to do a more detailed video, comment the word details, and what I'll do is perhaps I'll put a presentation together. I'll share some of the slide presentations from the event, maybe break down the numbers a little bit more. I've got some cool stuff I can go into, but I want to know if that would be of interest. So drop me a comment, and if you're interested in having a chat with my team about momentum expansion or Titan, click this button here, come over to this video, explains a bit more, and I look forward to speaking to you, and I'll see you in the next video.